439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
We are in the triple digits officially. By my counts, we are now just over 100 days since OU received a commit in the 2026 class. How are y'all feeling about the 2026 class? Everybody panicking? Still feel okay? Still feel confident? Crazy to say, that we got to be creeping in on the longest drought in the Brent Venables era in a single recruiting class, right? If we're now in triple digits.
I believe at this point I would have to – hang on. I'm just going to have Google tell me. It's easier.
Google knows these types of things? Why is Google doing the show then? What am I doing here?
How many –
me.
I'm going to search this in real time. How many days from August 21st until December 3rd, 2024?
That's going to be close.
It will be close. 104 days.
That
is the longest current drought of the Venables era.
We
104
got
days.
less than a week until we can tie that bad boy.
And the drought may end a week from now.
Oh, okay. Nice little tease there as we start the show today. I am not Grayson Singleton. I don't know if you could already tell that or not. No Grayson Singleton today. He's calling some high school playoff action, and he's going to be doing the same tomorrow as well. So you got the old school locked in for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow. Tyler McComas and Parker Thune, we got you with all the recruiting talk here from 2 to 3 on the Ref and, of course, the YouTube page as well. So, all right, that was my next question. It's just been over 100 days now. Who are the candidates to be the next commit? It sounds like we may have a candidate to be a next commit.
Well, the most likely commit is 3-star cornerback Ryan Gilbert out of North Forney, Texas. Down to a final 3 of Oklahoma, SMU, and Houston. I think if you're an OU football fan, looking at that top 3, you're not all too worried about Houston, right? Not a whole lot of reason to be concerned about Houston.
Shouldn't be, yeah.
SMU, that's a bit of a different story, especially because they just beat you out over the weekend for 4-star wide receiver Alger Miles, which was a surprise. And moreover, they've got one of his close friends, 4-star safety Markel Ford, currently locked into their 2026 class. So, look, I've had a future cast in for a month, maybe longer right now, favoring Oklahoma for Ryan Gilbert. Feel pretty good about that, but given that SMU is the other school in the mix, Tyler, I don't think it – I'll put it this way. It's not one I'm taking to the bank just yet.
Sure. Well, you guys on YouTube, you guys on the text line, how you feeling right now about this 26 recruiting class? Let us know. 405-651-3439 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll get to responses on that in the YouTube page as well. Someone's calling me sneaky athletic. Oh, that's Gunny. Tyler sounds like he might be sneaky athletic. If I say that I'm a former wide receiver or a wide receiver in training, does that really confirm that I'm sneaky athletic? Isn't that the joke on this show? Or one of the jokes on this show?
Yeah, lunch pail guy, great work ethic. First one in, last one out.
2-star Jay in Tulsa. Hey, watch it on YouTube. Had no idea Tyler was a white dude. Ha ha. Very nice.
Well done. Brian from Maryland says, is this old school get in with Tyler?
Yeah, there were a lot of names that you guys tried to text in to throw me off going into a break all the time.
Lock it in.
Don't do that
lock
again.
Lock it up.
Because, that didn't last very long, and I pretty much nailed down going into a segment, coming out of a segment. So, filling in for a couple of days here. Don't try and mess me up all of a sudden. What are we doing?
Monster Truck Guy says, I'm locking in so hard right now.
That just weirded me out, Monster Truck Guy, I got to say. Normally I like your text, but there was way too many O's in that so there. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable here in my very first segment back. David from Norman says, in Jim Nagy, I trust. Here is a hot take that I have for you on the 2026 class. Yes, it may only have 4 commitments right now. We'll see if 2 of those even stick when it comes to signing day. But my hot take is simply this, Parker Thune. It feels like a slow start. I'm not telling anyone to panic, but I am guaranteeing that the 2026 class will not suck. It will not be terrible for the Oklahoma Sooners. It may not be top 5. It may not be top 10. In fact, right now, I would probably sell against the idea that this is going to be the best class of the Brent Venables era. But with as many big targets as they still have on the board, and if you get one of the 2 quarterbacks, that's going to put you in a good spot as well. I don't know where it's going to be ranked, but OU's not going to have a 26 class that absolutely stinks, and we're talking about outside of the top even 30 in the country. I don't believe that, even with some of the negative recruiting that they're battling right now.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma's recruiting has been quite stable under Brent Venables. Quantity-wise, you look back at the 2025 class, I think it ranked like 18th in the nation, and so a lot of people looked down on a class like that. But if you look at the ranking per commit, i.e., you're looking at a metric that values quality over quantity.
Yep.
Oklahoma's class was something like 7th or 8th in the country, which is constantly where they've resided in an overall sense. Right there in that 7 to 10 range nationally over the course of Brent Venables' time at Oklahoma. So recruiting has always kind of stayed on the same plane. Now, is it reasonable to expect that might change, whether for better or worse, now that Jim Nagy is the head honcho in that personnel department? Absolutely. I think a lot of folks are eager to see Oklahoma get back on the board in the 2026 cycle. They want some positive momentum. They want the commitments to start dropping. Regardless of when that happens, I do feel pretty confident that, you take an example of a guy like Dallas Dickerson, right? Oklahoma offered him last week. He was a 0-star prospect at the time. Today, he's a 4-star prospect. So guys like that are guys that you trust Jim Nagy and his staff to go and find, and trust that when they get to the University of Oklahoma, they're going to perform like elite football players, not just show up as elite recruits and then wash out.
Jim in Arlington says, what kind of world do we live in now? Bob Stoops and Barry Switzer would never lose a kid to SMU. Well, I don't think Bob Stoops ever lost a kid to SMU. SMU, that was a different era. That was the pre-NIL transfer portal era, essentially, for the most part. And SMU was pretty bad throughout the entirety of Bob Stoops' tenure here at Oklahoma. Did Barry Switzer ever lose a player to SMU when they were doing the things that they were doing there in the 80s? I think Eric Dickerson was considering OU. And as the story goes that maybe his mom wanted him to go to OU or something. So I think Barry Switzer did. I think Eric Dickerson wanted to come to OU, was thinking hard about coming to OU. So maybe that only happened a couple of times, but sure, SMU obtained him rather illegally now that we know what happened was going on in that program at one time. And maybe he lost more than just that one, but I think it has happened before, Jim in Arlington. 918 Rod says, and I think he's right, winning football will take care of recruiting. Just win, baby. How much do you think – negative recruiting goes on all the time, man. It's not just Oklahoma. But how much do you think it's going on with Oklahoma right now in the 2026 class? Do you think it's going on more than normal for Oklahoma?
Yes and no. Like, if we're just talking structurally, there's not a ton that you can negative recruit. There's not a ton there at Oklahoma that you can tout as a negative if you're another program trying to lure a kid to your school. What you can use in your negative recruiting pitch, if you will, against Oklahoma is the fact that they've gone 6-7 2 of the last 3 years.
Sure.
So, yes, to that texture's point, if you win this fall, that goes away. I think the only question that remains is how much of your class can you get locked in before the season starts? Because let's just say you have, 12 commits heading into the season. Do you have enough guys? Do you have enough top-end targets that are still uncommitted, still out there on the board that you can win over with a strong 2025 season, or have the majority of those guys already come off the board to other schools?
Yeah, a strong season, especially with the Michigan win, and I guess this is the good thing about OU's schedule, and it is so difficult, is that, because there's been some years, Parker, certainly in the Big 12, where, all right, well, OU can really generate some momentum in the season, but they're going to have to wait until the second Saturday in October when they beat Texas, because there's nobody before the Texas game that is really going to help you generate momentum, which might carry over to recruiting. That's not the case this year. Like, Michigan will be a top 20 team preseason. They might even be a top 15 team preseason.
Top 10? Top 5? Top 3?
Number 1 in the country.
Oh.
You just wait until I share something with you that I found on Bryce Underwood coming up in a few minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, yeah.
Just going to leave me on a cliffhanger?
But it's going to be a good win, and a win over Michigan would give you momentum early in the season. Is really the points. You've got opportunities with the schedule to generate some momentum in September, and hopefully that helps out your recruiting class at that point. We'll see.
Here's an interesting question from a listener in the 405, and it's something like this is a conversation that we've had not in great depth, but we've had it on a surface level several times. Question to think about with how college football is set up today. Do you want more than 10 to 15 recruits anymore when money is being spent on older transfers with tape at the college level? Getting older guys that can play right away is a better investment than a young kid who will end up hitting the portal anyways. What are your thoughts there? I have some, but I want to hear yours.
You don't know at the time that a kid is going to hit the transfer portal. I mean, here's what I still believe in. I still believe what's going to win moving forward in college football is the majority of your roster, the majority of your starters, the majority of your star players are guys that came into your program as true freshmen, and those are the guys that if you have a program that's worth a darn, using that word that we use way too much, if you've got a culture that's worth a darn, those guys are really going to progress throughout your program and become great players. So I don't know why are you recruiting a guy if you ever look at him as just like, well, he's going to hit the transfer portal in a year anyway? I still believe in the high school recruiting process, developing guys in your program, in your culture, and then cherry picking here and there where are some spots that we need to address via the portal, or this guy's just really good and we have to approach it.
Here's another thing to keep in mind. And I do think, I don't know what exactly it's going to look like. I feel like there's going to be a drastic correction at some point that happens with the money market in college football.
Yes.
And the monetary values that are placed on players. Like, it's just gotten so inflated so fast that it's unsustainable. And I think most everyone realizes that it's unsustainable, but it's always going to be cheaper, Tyler, to build a roster with guys that you sign out of high school than having to fill the holes in the transfer portal. Because, for instance, right, a guy like Lance Mason, let's take the example of a guy like Lance Mason, whom Oklahoma didn't get. They lost to the University of Wisconsin in a portal battle that was decided a couple of weeks ago. He was a second-team all-conference guy in the FCS. Solid production, but still pretty modest by tight end standards. I forget what it was, something like 40 catches, 590 yards, 5 or 6 touchdowns. And a guy like that, regardless of where he would have ended up, was going to get paid close to $500,000.
Crazy, isn't it?
For a single season of his services.
That's not $500,000 of production. That's just he's getting paid $500,000 because some teams really need help right now at tight ends.
Correct, because he's a decent player at a position where, look across the landscape of college football, there aren't a ton of elite difference-making dudes. And so if you can find an above-average one, you're doing better than the Joneses, right?
It's true. No, it's a really good point. I mean, get better value because OU is going to pay you, I think, what you're worth moving forward. Now, if you're really, really good and you make plays, I think OU will definitely compensate you. And I think that we've seen that they'll go out and be very aggressive in the transfer portal for players that have been productive and players that they think are really good. But very few times does OU go out and I think just flat out overpay for someone. If they put big bucks next to your name, they think that you're worth it and they think that you're really good. Really, really good.
It's funny, the one guy, well, okay, I don't know if overpay is the right word, but you had to pay huge bucks for John Mateer this past offseason, right? The other guy that I think it could have been argued based on the number that I had been passed along from the OU side, the guy that it could have been argued they were prepared to overpay for was Washington State transfer cornerback Ethan O'Connor, who wound up going to Miami for in excess of 7 figures. It was funny. I got a text the other day from somebody who would know. We're like, yeah, Ethan O'Connor actually isn't that good.
Did he go to Did he end up at Miami?
Yes.
Why do I think that? Yeah.
Yes, he's at Miami now, and evidently not lighting the world on fire.
Yeah, Miami likes to overpay. There's no doubt about that. Hey, Big Boganowski is in the YouTube chat.
Oh,
right
there
now.
we go. What's up, Mike?
You told me before that man knows how to throw a tailgate.
He does. Make no mistake about that.
Need to see that. Need to see that at some point. Got to say hi to him during the Missouri game last year, not after the Missouri game. At halftime of the Missouri game last year, nobody wanted to talk after the Missouri game a year ago.
Quite understandable.
Oh, gosh.
Everybody wanted to talk at halftime, though. Zach Schmidt had just hit a 56-yard field goal.
Was it 9-3 at halftime or something like that?
Yeah. Ugly football.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Okay, I bring up Bryce Underwood to get to this, and this is a tease for next segment. 24/7 Sports did NFL player comps for top 10 freshmen. So there's an NFL player comp for Michael Fasusi. And his NFL comp is actually a former Sooner that's in the league right now. And then wait till you hear who 24/7 Sports has as a comp for Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood, who we're probably going to see in week 2. That's also a very familiar name. More to come next right here on Locked In. It's the Ref. We're the home of Sooner fans.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Now that open enrollment for healthcare coverage has ended, there's still several options to consider that just might benefit you. Need to purchase your own health insurance? Confused about Medicare? Considering offering benefits to your employees? Call the agents at Allison Insurance, featuring 70-plus years of combined insurance business experience. They're able to help clients avoid mistakes when purchasing individual or group health insurance. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. They are the experts.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Kicking off on June 14th with Josh Turner.
Would you go with me?
And Edwin McCain. Along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Why don't we just dance?
What's up, Ref Army? It's Dusty Dvorak. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. Catch me every Tuesday and Wednesday during the 10 a.m. hour of The Plank Show as I cut it up with Plank and Josh about everything in the world of Sooner and college football. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday on The Plank Show, and there's only one place to hear it. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app today to listen from anywhere.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. We had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, the knowledge accumulated and shared, with everyone else around the world. This is how we help kids beat cancer all over.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org. When even my easy run became impossible, my buddies told me to go to VA. I don't know exactly what I was exposed to while I was serving, but I know that because of the PACT Act, I qualify for VA healthcare and disability benefits. I get treatment from top doctors trained in military exposures, and I get monthly tax-free disability compensation. With VA healthcare and benefits, I can keep going. Get what you earn. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Locked in with McComas and Thune. Actually, it's not McComas and Thune today. It is today, but for the next couple of days, not permanently. Tattoo Baker says Tyler's back on at 2. No, Tyler's back on at 2 for today and tomorrow. That is not a permanent thing. Grayson Singleton will be back on Monday. He's out calling some high school games this afternoon, and he will be doing so tomorrow as well. 405-651-3439. Keep it coming on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. So maybe you had a chance to think about the teas during the break. I said that 24/7 Sports has a story out today. NFL player comps for top 10 freshmen in college football. Michael Fasusi was on the list, and I gave you the hint that their player comp for Michael Fasusi is a former Sooner in the NFL. If you had to guess which former Sooner that would be, who would you say?
Currently in the NFL, to be clear.
Yes, currently.
Left tackle.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a tackle.
Trent Williams?
That would be the comp that you would want, right?
Oh, no, you know what? Is it Anton Harrison?
It's Wanye Morris.
Interesting.
Wanye Morris. Trent Williams is the comp that you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
Lane Johnson would have been a fantastic. I mean, there's some comps out there where you say, okay, yeah, if this guy turns out to be that dude, like let's go. That's living up to the 5-star name. I guess I was just very surprised that Wanye Morris was the name that they chose. Says OU fans are familiar with him, an all Big 12 right tackle for OU from 2021 to 2022. Fasusi has a similar athletic profile and is the highest-rated offensive lineman assigned with Oklahoma in the modern recruiting era. He's got all the tools to be an all-SEC performer in college.
It's an interesting comp because they look very different. If you just look at the way they're built, Wanye Morris was a guy that – it was something we all kind of remarked on the very first time we saw him on the practice field at Oklahoma. He had remarkably narrow shoulders for an offensive tackle, and he was kind of wide in the midsection, right? Like wide on the lower half. Michael Fasusi, the way that he's built, man, his weight is a lot more evenly distributed, broad shoulders. And so, you're like, in terms of play style and all that, okay, maybe, I guess I can kind of see that. But physically speaking, I don't think those two are akin to one another at all.
No, I don't think so either. And I was very surprised with it. And because, look, Wanye Morris he's a good offensive lineman at Oklahoma. He was good enough to be a third-round draft pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Third-round draft pick, 92nd overall. I think we can all agree it is very early in Michael Fasusi's career. But if you want to talk about what he's capable of, what his ceiling is a lot higher than a third-round pick, 92nd overall in the NFL Draft. Michael Fasusi's ceiling? I mean, it's a top 10, top 5, maybe even a number 1 overall pick in the NFL Draft someday. Those are the types of conversations you could have around Michael Fasusi if it all comes together for him. So if they would have asked me, just judging by what the true potential of him and how legit of an offensive lineman he can be and how good he's already looked, I would have said someone like Trent Williams because he was a guy that was drafted in the top 5 of the NFL Draft. So...
what an interesting comparison.
Yeah, I was shocked by that one.
I've never seen another offensive tackle that I would compare to Wanye Morris, I don't think. Wanye Morris was just such a unique specimen.
Yeah, and Michael Fasusi is also a unique specimen, but not in the same way that you would say that Wanye Morris is a unique specimen.
Yes, very different. Two very different things there.
405 texter says Fasusi has a far better mental makeup than Wanye Morris. Les in Hayes, Kansas says Wanye Morris isn't a good comp What were they watching?
I'm wondering the same thing. Again, very, very odd comparison there.
Mark Vermeenid says Trent Williams. We had a couple of Trent Williams on there. But by all accounts, early on, and the guy hasn't played a snap yet for Oklahoma. And I know some people, why do we have such terrible luck with 5 stars? Clearly, we'll see what happens with Michael Fasusi. But the early returns on him is what you thought you were getting when you recruited him. It looks to be all there. It looks to be like not only is he your highest recruited or highest rated signee at offensive line in the modern era, if all goes to plan for him, he could be just one of your best offensive linemen that you've had in a while. I think he could enter in that conversation.
Oh, you know what? I take it back. I can think of an offensive lineman that I would kind of loosely compare to Wanye Morris. Remember Lamont Rogers from last cycle?
Yeah, he was actually on the list because he went to Michigan, right? Did Lamont Rogers go to Michigan?
No, he went to A&M.
A&M. Who am I thinking of that went to Babalola's? Who I'm thinking
went
of.
to Michigan.
Yeah. Okay.
Lamont Rogers is maybe the closest thing physically to Wanye Morris that I've seen. Just kind of an odd build for an offensive tackle. But outside of that, yeah, Wanye Morris is kind of one of one.
Yeah.
That's not in a bad way. That's also not necessarily in a good way. He's just kind of different.
Frisco Sooner says, that just seems like a lazy comp to me. Just thought of a player that played OU recently and spit it out. Those two are zero alike.
Craig Muskogee says, sounds to me like 2200 Sports is legally blind.
Would you like to read Slim Brady's text there?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Slim Brady, just know it's been recognized. 2 other comps that they had for guys nationally that OU might face as soon as this year, potentially.
Okay.
Keelan Russell, quarterback at Alabama. Is he a Duncanville kid?
Duncanville, that's right. Yep.
Player comparison for Keelan Russell at Alabama, Jaden Daniels, recent Heisman winner at LSU.
Huh.
I think a playmaker when I think of Jaden Daniels, so Keelan Russell better be a guy that can.
Yeah, it's
a great arm and can run around and make plays.
A very inexact comparison. A very inexact comparison. Because Jaden Daniels is a superb athlete. You know who's honestly a better comp to Jaden Daniels than Keelan Russell is? Michael Hawkins.
I could live with that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying Michael Hawkins is going to win a Heisman or anything like that, but in terms of play style, in terms of like athletic profile, Michael Hawkins is a lot more similar to Jaden Daniels than Keelan Russell is. Who's the other one?
Bryce Underwood. This is the one that made me say, whoa, okay. And maybe OU faces Keelan Russell in November. I think it's more likely that they see Bryce Underwood of the two in week 2. True freshman quarterback from Michigan. Player comparison, Vince Young. VY at Texas, who led the Horns to a 2005 national championship.
Wow.
Yeah, right? So I'm like, hold on, let's look at the measurables for Bryce Underwood because Vince was like 6'5" and ran like a deer. Just an insane athlete. Bryce Underwood, again, who you might face in week 2, I would say probably the odds-on favorite to win the starting job at Michigan, listed at like 6'4", 207. But Vince, man, just a different stride athlete, all that.
Yeah, and I know, like, thankfully, here's the thing. You have to be mindful of how these comparisons are going to be interpreted. I know they're not saying that Bryce Underwood is going to have a college career that mirrors that of Vince Young, but there are a lot of folks that are going to see that comparison and think, oh, they think this guy's going to be the next Vince Young. What a bunch of idiots. And no, like when we're talking player comps, we're talking style more than anything. And I guess, yeah, again, some loose parallels there, but Vince Young is just absolutely certifiably one of those guys that I'm not sure I would ever be comfortable comparing another high school prospect to, because Vince Young is kind of the definition of one of one.
Man, the comp game is out of hand. It really is out of hand these days. I mean, if we're going to give Keelan Russell Jaden Daniels, and we're going to give Bryce Underwood Vince Young, and we give Michael Fasusi, I love you, Wanye Morris, but come on. If we're going a little overboard with our comps, and we're giving a third-round draft pick to Michael Fasusi, what are we doing here, man? The comp game gets a little out of hand, so much so that when I Googled exactly Bryce Underwood's measurables, there was an article that popped up that said, Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood draws major Tom Brady comparisons. Which one is he? Is he all of them?
Is
he
he
Tom
Tom
Brady, Vince
or
Young?
is he Vince Young?
Joe Montana? Who is this kid?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I hope OU can force a punt in this game
By
in
the
week
way,
2.
Do you remember, this is going back to the summer of 22. You remember when the OU fan base was all up in arms about the comp that was floating around for Jackson Arnold?
Oh, was it Rex Grossman?
No.
Taylor Heineke?
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
It was Taylor Heineke.
Where is he? Is he even still in the league?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's holding a clipboard
Or is he at Auburn
somewhere.
too now? Is Taylor Heineke at Auburn now as well? Did he transfer there too? Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That might have actually turned out to be a pretty good comp.
We hated on it at the time, but I don't know how many times Taylor Heineke lost the football in big situations in games, but that could actually be a good comp here. Just some short little blurbs via Rivals of some players that are on OU's board right now. Mason James, the 4-star receiver from Norman North, says he could very well end up at Oklahoma, and no one would be surprised, but Mason James has taken a few visits to Washington and loved it. Now Arizona State is very much on his radar. He loved how Kenny Dillingham interacts with the players and runs his program. Playing for Super Bowl MVP Hines Ward is also a major draw. Now, he is a Norman kid. He's liked OU, so would it be the most shocking thing in the world if he picks OU? No. But the scuttlebutt has recently, doesn't sound like it's been in favor for Oklahoma recently. Would that still be accurate to say for Mason James?
Unless there is a complete 180 in this recruitment, the likes of which we saw with Danny Okoye a couple years back, if you remember how that one went down. Would it be the most shocking thing in the world if Mason James chose Oklahoma? Yeah, it actually would be at this point. I don't think those two are going to be a match. I think at this point, he winds up at Arizona State, Washington, or Texas. Those are the 3 schools that I'd keep an eye on for Mason James.
Texas was kind of the one even a few weeks back. It was like, oh, really?
I mean, look,
People won't freak out about that one.
If you're okay embracing the villain persona in your hometown, I mean, for a wide receiver, let's call a spade here. Texas is a pretty alluring destination right about now.
Yeah, we need to go down the list in the modern recruiting era because there's not a lot of these guys that have left the state of Oklahoma and been a scholarship player, went and played for Texas. I think most of the guys that have done it didn't exactly pan out. They were all highly recruited, but not all of them, or really any of those guys, ended up being a big player at Texas, if I remember correctly. What you obviously had, there was Josh Turner. This is 10, 12 years ago or so, played there. I guess Casey Thompson would have been one, right? He signed there right out of high school.
Yeah,
Casey Thompson did.
Jacoby Jones.
Not
that Jacoby Jones, but yes. Jacoby Jones, was he the guy that Damian Williams outran in 2012? Is he kind of the last guy chasing Damian Williams?
He wasn't the one that got hit by Kenny Stills. I'd rather be the one chasing Damian Williams than the one getting destroyed by Kenny Stills.
Yeah, I forgot who got hit by Kenny Stills, but yeah, gosh, what a memorable block that was.
Haven't been a lot of guys that have left the state of Oklahoma to go play for Texas.
No, there haven't. I mean, guys have obviously left the state of Oklahoma for a multiplicity of different destinations, even some big-time players recently, like Nate Roberts from right down the road, wound up at Ohio State last cycle. But to go from the Sooner State to the University of Texas, yeah, pretty unprecedented. It very seldom happens.
Jake Krell, the 4-star edge out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, the number 27 player nationally, according to Rivals. One of maybe the highest-ranked player that OU has on its recruiting board right now, said the 4-star edge rusher started his official visit schedule at Colorado over the weekend, and while the Buffaloes probably trail other teams, there was a lot for Krell to like, especially on the coaching staff. He loves that Deion Sanders hired defensive line coaches with great NFL experience, and that defensive coordinator Robert Livingston is implementing in NFL defense. Florida, Ohio State, Texas, and Oklahoma, still the perceived frontrunner, will get the other visits. So whereas maybe the scuttlebutt around Mason James maybe hasn't been all that positive recently for OU, it does sound like the intel around Jake Krell, that's been positive for OU recently.
I think that one is going to come down to Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Texas. Those are the three schools that I think are battling it out for Jake Krell towards the end. Now, I like where Oklahoma sits. I would consider them the leader in the clubhouse right now, but important to acknowledge here that the lead I believe Oklahoma is carrying into OV season is not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination. So that is not one that you're taking to the bank right now. Kind of like the conversation we had off the top about Ryan Gilbert. You feel good about it?
Yeah.
Yes, but now you got to hold on.
Two other players to mention, three-star Mason Martin out of St. Louis. He's an edge player. Looks like a top 5 has emerged of Arizona State, Kansas, OU, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. Should we have any hope that OU can get Mason Martin out of St. Louis?
I like Arizona State in that one right now. So, yeah, not really expecting OU to be the destination, but Oklahoma's cast a wide enough net in the linebacker pool this cycle that it doesn't feel like that class is going to live or die with a decision from Mason Martin. Thank you. This 918 listener said DeMarco Cobbs. It wasn't Jacoby Jones I was thinking about. It was DeMarco Cobbs that Damian Williams left in his dust, running down the near sideline for that 95-yard touchdown run against Texas in 2012. Glenn from Nashville adds, I'm sorry, I don't care if Mason James is, quote-unquote, not the size receiver that Nagy likes. If that kid leaves Norman and goes to Texas, I will personally drive a U-Haul through Nagy's front door.
Dang!
Holy smokes.
Whoa! Like, are you going to leave it there, or are you just going to drive it through the yard and say, all right, I got to return this thing? So
we are threatening destruction of property on Oklahoma's new general manager. Hey, welcome to town, Jim Nagy.
Glenn just outed himself, by the way. If anything goes wrong with Jim Nagy's yard, we're all going to say the same thing. Dang it, Glenn, you really did it. Drove a U-Haul all the way from Nashville just to drive it across his lawn. Hey, one more. Deacon Schmitz, 4-star offensive tackle out of Windsor, Colorado. Looks like OU is going to get a visit along with Bama, Nebraska, and Tennessee. Any optimism there for Deacon Schmitz out of the state of Colorado?
Yeah, Colorado's kind of the wild card there because he is a Colorado kid. He was just on the Colorado OV this past weekend. But for the longest time, that has felt like an OU-Nebraska battle. Those are the two schools that set themselves well ahead of the rest quite a while ago. And so that's kind of my belief going into OV season is that it does wind up being the Sooners or the Huskers. I think Oklahoma has the inside track. I've had a future cast in there for a while for Deacon Schmidt. So I like where Bill Bedenbaugh has positioned himself in that pursuit.
Oh, great. So Nebraska's going to get the semi out again for a big-time offensive lineman that they're battling OU for?
Oh, boy.
That's a recruiting story 10, 15 years from now. One of those if you know type of things, but I haven't heard anything on Grant. I randomly saw him standing on the sidelines of a couple of Nebraska games last year, but haven't heard much on how Grant Bricks is doing up there.
They are real excited about him.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
Good player. 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll close up Locked In next.
Dusty Dvorak here. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. We are the football experts. We're the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app and listen from anywhere.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
Home is where memories are made, where life happens and love grows. And at Armstrong Bank, we can get you there. Whether you're buying a home, refinancing, renovating, or taking advantage of your home equity, we're here to help you make your next memories. Home is wherever you're headed. For more information, visit an Armstrong Bank location near you. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
Does your business need a trusted electrical advisor to help with repairs, maintenance, service changes, or upgrades? Don't just trust anyone. Choose Wade Electric, a family-owned company with over 50 years of experience. Wade Electric has an extensive portfolio of completed projects in new construction, remodels, and service. We specialize in a variety of electrical installations like accent lighting and automation, landscape and security lighting, shop and outbuilding wiring, and more. Call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940 for all your electrical needs.
Every year, millions of pets go missing, leaving families heartbroken. If you lose or find a pet, Love Lost is here to help. Our free, easy-to-use database uses photo matching technology across multiple social media platforms to bring lost pets home. Just upload a photo and quickly search the largest national lost and found pet database. Let's unite to reunite, because every lost pet deserves to find their way home. Register today at lovelost.org.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno bringing you this hour of Locked In. Dorsey Jones is family owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. They sell Buicks and GMCs, which are some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road. That's Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Weston Sooner says Grant Bricks. I guess we're doing comps today, more comps. Grant Bricks is the next Bray Walker. That's not a nice comparison for Grant Bricks. I think he'll probably be a little bit better than that.
For many reasons, I don't think we're ever going to see another recruit that mirrors the Bray Walker trajectory. Maybe like as far as the public is concerned, if all you see is a 5-star riding the bench for years and years and years, okay, I guess maybe there might be a next Bray Walker. But like the things that led Bray Walker to just kind of tread water on the Oklahoma depth chart for 5 full seasons, that's never going to be repeated. Because there was a lot of apathy there.
Yeah. Topher B from OKC, in regards to running a U-Haul through Nagy's front door, it's yard. No, not talking about the front door now. Give me titles over hometown feels. It's all about winning at this point. Boy, this show really took a drastic turn. We're talking about missing out on a wide receiver from Norman North, and we're going to do damage to the home of Jim Nagy. Let's maybe not do that.
Hey, this is completely off topic, but I've been counting, and I saw an announcement come across my Twitter timeline just a few moments ago. Oklahoma State just picked up its 40th transfer of the offseason.
They have completely overhauled their entire roster. Like, they got a completely different football team next year. I don't even know. Like, is Gavin Freeman still there?
He is.
Is he going to be one of the few players that was on last year's roster that will be on this year's Oklahoma State team?
Pretty much. I mean, it's going to be unrecognizable. Not that, I keep a strong mental archive of every single football player on Oklahoma State's roster, but if you watch Oklahoma State football next year and you have any frame of reference for what that team has looked like over the last few years, you're going to find yourself asking, who? More than a couple times.
Yeah, they probably needed to overhaul their roster after going winless in the Big 12 last year, but it's a massive year for their program coming up, that's for sure. Recruiting Boomer says, so guys, I did a little something yesterday. And it's a photo of Recruiting Boomer pointing at a screen. It looks like his name is in first, or at least second, of a $1 million hole-in-one challenge. Recruiting Boomer says, I hit a hole-in-one on the TrackMan $1 million hole-in-one challenge yesterday. So did you win $1 million yesterday? Is that what happened? Did you hit a hole-in-one, Recruiting Boomer, and win $1 million?
Listen, Recruiting Boomer, if indeed you won $1 million yesterday, as soon as those taxes are paid, I expect you to upgrade Oklahoma's tight end room expeditiously.
Or help out Porter Moser. He can get a backup shooting guard for that price. Aren't those the going rates for players in the basketball transfer portal? Just a crazy amounts?
Pretty much. Man. Pretty much. You can have a backup shooting guard, or you can have a legit tight end one. Your call.
Go ahead and give me the tight end, please. I'll go ahead and take that. One-star Chonky Chuck. Chuck, where you been, man? I haven't talked to you in forever. Tyler and Parker together on Locked In. It must be Christmas. I've missed this dynamic duo. Chonky Chuck doesn't listen to 3 to 6 when I'm on every single day.
Really?
Yeah, I don't guess he got better things to do.
He's a busy man. He's got a job. He's got classes. He's got a lot on his plate.
I guess so.
It is always a good day when we see his name pop up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, though.
I mentioned Jake Krell last segment as one of the highest-ranked players on OU's board, maybe just overall the highest-ranked player they have right now.
Sure.
Who are the three, maybe not even highest priority, who are the three highest-ranked players that Oklahoma has on its board right now? Jake Krell, Deuce Geralds, would he be in the top 3?
I'd say so.
And then who would be the other one? Those are 2 defensive guys.
Felix Ojo.
Okay.
Felix Ojo to me would be number 3. Maybe Bo Bentley too. There's a case to be made there. But you know that in the SEC, you got to have strong play in the trenches. You got to have some war daddies in the trenches. And all 3 of those guys that we just rattled off, Ojo, Krell, Deuce Geralds, those are war daddies in the trenches.
Yeah, so it's not a terrible thing that your 3 highest-ranked players on the board are all essentially war daddies, as you put it, linemen. But you obviously have to close with those guys. And feels like OU's in a good spot for Jake Krell, but things can change. Things can turn quickly, especially when, you expect Ohio State and Texas to be right there with Oklahoma in the Final 3. You know who you're going up against at that point, man. So, OU's not going to be out of the top 30 on signing day. Will they be in the top 10? They're going to have to hustle up to get there. They're going to have a big summer. But I don't think that we're going to be talking about the 2026 classes. This was a god-awful class, the worst of the modern recruiting era for Oklahoma. They'll figure it out, and they'll get some players.
And you know what? If it is, Glenn might actually drive the U-Haul through Jim Maggie's front door.
He might be picking some of us up if that's the case. But I am still intrigued and fascinated as to what's going to happen with Oklahoma at quarterback. The whole Bo Bentley situation has been interesting, Jaden O'Neal as well, but it continues to be interesting as well. At what point does Jaden O'Neal just say, I see the writing on the wall, I'm just going to decommit and start to, really heavily pursue Florida State, Auburn, whoever else wants to recruit me? Is there a chance that could happen soon, where Jaden O'Neal just says, yeah, I know I moved to Mustang, but they're hosting Bo Bentley for a visit. They really like him a lot. It's down to OU and LSU. I'm just going to go do my own thing.
Look, Jaden O'Neal made his decision. He decided to commit to the University of Oklahoma. I think Bo Bentley is going to make the final decision for Jaden O'Neal. I think if nothing changes, status quo till signing day, Jaden O'Neal is an Oklahoma Sooner. But if Bo Bentley comes to town for his official visit, June 13th through the 15th, and decides, I am all in, I've dreamed of being a Sooner my whole life, I want to commit to the University of Oklahoma, Jaden O'Neal is gone. Bo Bentley's decision, in that sense, is really two decisions, is what it is.
But Jaden O'Neal has to know that, right? I mean, does he not see that if Bo Bentley picks OU between not 4 or 5 other schools over one other school right now, that it means that OU's probably going to say, hey, man, it's in your best interest to look somewhere else.
Yeah, well, to be clear, like, OU's never going to say that to Jaden O'Neal. They're not going to encourage him to leave the class. They want him, but it's become clear what the priorities for this staff are. Ben Arbuckle is willing to pursue Bo Bentley at the risk of losing Jaden O'Neal. You can make your own inferences there.
Yeah.
And so, again, to me, Bo Bentley's decision is actually two decisions. Because not only will it dictate where he goes to school, it will also dictate where Jaden O'Neal goes to school.
A 650 texter from the state of California. You guys need to be honest. OU has been average at best since BV arrived. Recruiting class is another reminder. Well, I don't think that we really ever mentioned the Brent Venables era on the field up to this point, at any point this hour. But if you want to use recruiting as an example, well, this recruiting class, it's clearly not off to an incredible start. Let's wait until June and July. Mm-hmm. But I think recruiting overall has been strong in the Brent Venables era. It's been good. I mean, does anyone disagree with that? I think the recruiting, the classes that you've gotten, the players that you've gotten, as evidenced by how much the defense has been built up the past few years, I mean, recruiting classes have been okay. There's been other issues outside that have been more problems.
You know who had 4 commits at this time last year?
Not USC. They had a ton. Didn't Texas get off to a slow start last year?
Texas had 4 commits at this point last year. You know who ended up with the number 1 recruiting class in the 2025 cycle?
Yeah, they closed well, man.
The University of Texas did. So, recruiting rankings in the month of May do not matter one iota. Everybody is going to round out their class at different speeds. USC has 27 commits right now, right? Like, they're pretty much done. They're close to done. You'd be surprised if there are 3-4 more additions to USC's class. But Oklahoma's got to recruit for like 20 more spots, and they will recruit for like 20 more spots. And that gap between them and programs like USC is going to close substantially or even disappear.
Yeah.
Because it all comes out in the wash by December. And the schools with the best talent in their classes are going to sit atop the recruiting rankings, not just the teams that have the most commits.
Yeah, I don't understand the argument that, recruiting classes are another indication that Brent Venables has been bad. I think if you were to list the positives of the Brent Venables era thus far, I mean, it's certainly not the final records on the field. It's probably what's happened in recruiting. Signing the highest-ranked offensive lineman in modern recruiting history for Oklahoma. The defensive talent that you've gotten, the 5-star, 4-star defensive lineman up front. I believe they had the number 7 recruiting class in 2024. They had the number 6 recruiting class in 2023. Now, those need to equate to wins. I think that we all know that, but I guess I don't look at the recruiting classes or recruiting rankings as being a big issue so far in this tenure.
They've never been an issue up till now. I mean, Oklahoma had a top 10 class each of Venables' first 3 cycles. This past year, they were outside the top 10, and that was only because of quantity, not quality.
Yeah, sure.
Quality-wise, Oklahoma had a top 10 class when you were looking at ranking per commit. So again, recruiting has never been a liability under Brent Venables. I don't expect that to change, even with all the shifting sands and the addition of Jim Nagy as general manager. I don't expect that when signing day rolls around in December, we are talking any differently about this class as we have about the past 4 classes.
All right, that was fun. Parker and I will do Locked In once again tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you on the text line and on YouTube as well. The Rush is coming up.